In 323 BCE, a man died in the city of Babylon. He was exactly 32 years old, and he held dominion over the known world. Every territory, every conquered city, and every fractured border of that massive empire was captured within a ruthlessly short window of just 12 years. To understand history's most successful conqueror, we have to look past the size of his army and focus on his speed. He secured his entire legacy in a timeframe so brief that his campaign felt less like a war and more like a race against time. His story begins in 356 BCE in Pella, the capital of ancient Macedonia. Born to King Philip II and Queen Olympias, the young prince was immersed in a world of high expectations. Recognizing his potential early, his parents hired the era's leading mind to serve as his private tutor, the philosopher Aristotle. Aristotle guided the young prince's development, providing him with a framework for science, logic, and leadership that he would later apply to the administration of an empire. Then, the calculated path shattered. King Philip was assassinated, and at exactly 20 years old, Alexander inherited the Macedonian throne. Older, established leaders across the region immediately dismissed him as too green to hold power. That wave of doubt became his catalyst. To keep his crown and survive, the untested king immediately weaponized his academic training and set out to prove his absolute dominance. His first move was domestic. He moved swiftly to silence the skeptics at home, forcing the independent Greek city-states into a single, unified coalition under his banner. With his rear flank secured, he pivoted his massive new army east. His target was King Darius III and the overwhelming wealth and power of the Persian Empire. Rather than directing from the safety of the rear, the king led cavalry charges himself, fighting from the front line. Through tactical maneuvering and intense personal exposure to danger, his smaller forces broke the larger Persian armies. The heart of the Persian domain collapsed. He marched through the gates of the empire's wealthiest and most critical strongholds, securing total control. This victory over Darius ended the Persian era, shifting the center of global power from the east to the west. Before pushing deeper into Asia, he executed a strategic detour southward into Egypt. Instead of resisting, the Egyptian population embraced him as a hero. The priests crowned him pharaoh and declared him a living deity. On the Mediterranean coast, he ordered the construction of a new city, Alexandria. This port was designed to become the dominant center of learning and trade in the ancient world. Driven by a need to reach the physical edge of the known world, he marched his forces straight into India. There, on the muddy banks of the Hydaspes River, they clashed with King Porus in one of the bloodiest engagements of the entire campaign. Physically broken and exhausted by the endless march, his army finally mutinied. They refused to take another step, forcing the undefeated king to turn back. The great conqueror was never halted by a superior military strategy. He was stopped entirely by the rigid limits of human endurance. As the soldiers marched homeward, they left behind the language and systems that would take root long after the army itself had retreated. This era is the Hellenistic Age. As these connections formed, Greek art and philosophy merged tightly with the local traditions. This shared framework established a common language for scholars and merchants, standardizing trade routes and accelerating scientific exchange across borders. This blend of styles integrated Greek aesthetics into the visual identity and daily life of multiple civilizations. But the architect of this vast network wouldn't live to see it mature. In 323 BCE, Alexander died suddenly in Babylon at just 32. His generals immediately carved up his territories, plunging the region into chaos. Yet, while his political state fractured overnight, the connected Hellenistic world he engineered survived, proving that his vision ultimately outlasted his armies.